How do we academic coaches and tutors and teachers and all the other educators who adore working with students, how do we help them achieve inevitable success in school and in life? In fact, how do we help ourselves achieve inevitable success as well? I have a list of 7 do's and don'ts, and 2 of them we're going to cover in this video. Let's dig in. All right, the way this video series is going to work is, first of all, we're going to talk about a tendency that people have. Then we're going to look at the solution. And then finally, at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you some powerful questions you can ask students or yourself to get you into action towards inevitable success. And the first tendency is the habit that so many of us have to resist following the expert's instructions. It is amazing to me how often I see this. Not as much in the classroom with students, though it does happen with a certain kind of student, but definitely with the adults who come through my training program to build their academic coaching businesses. And I have step-by-step instructions for what to do first, second, and third in order to create inevitable success for your business. And people read those instructions and then they get overwhelmed by all the other instructions that they hear all over the place.
Do this, do that, do social media, you gotta have it, whatever, all the things you gotta have.
And they do their own idea instead of simply following my instructions. So what's the solution? Am I really saying that I'm so all that they gotta do what I say and not follow what they wanna do? Kinda. Here's the solution. Try what the expert says first. And that is what I call the wisdom of following the simple instructions. I learned this from a spiritual teacher named Byron Katie. I went to her 10-day school for the work, they call it. And here we were in a ballroom. There were hundreds of people in this ballroom over 10 days. And she has a 4-step process, which is brilliant for questioning beliefs you have. I highly recommend you look her name up, Byron Katie. But for the purposes of this video, it was fascinating to just experience over and over and over inside my own brain, and then hearing all the other people in the room resisting following her simple 4 steps. And some of it is because it's triggering or it brings up like difficult content. But really, the steps are very simple. If you can develop the habit and the muscle of just doing the simplest thing, right? Following the simple instructions. And all of us resisted it so much, but the ones who found the most power in her process were the ones who just did her process exactly as she described it. And I have found that to be true as well. It doesn't mean you can't bring your own creative ideas and your own special sauce. But I, as both an academic coach and somebody who helps people build their businesses, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've seen what works. I've seen what doesn't work and in what order. Try it my way first. See how that lands inside your system. And then you can go and play after you followed the simple instructions, right? There's room for following expertise and also room for your special sauce as well. Okay, that was the first tendency. Here's the second tendency that I've seen over and over again. People getting overwhelmed by a big project or task and then not being able to finish it or even start it, right? We all have this. This one is especially true for students, but I've seen it also in the educators who come into my anti-boring learning lab to take my courses and to learn this toolkit for working with students and starting their businesses. I've seen it everywhere. I've experienced it myself. What's the solution when we get overwhelmed? Okay, this is going to seem
Duh, Gretchen.
but do it step by step. The wisdom of incrementality. I love that word, incrementality. I got that word from some mentors of mine, Phil Porter and Cynthia Winton Henry, who created a brilliant community arts practice called Interplay. Highly recommend you look that up. And in Interplay, they share similar, I probably got these 7 do's and don'ts because they have their 8 body wisdom practices that I adore, and one of them is this one exactly. They say we get into trouble in tiny steps and we get out of trouble in tiny steps. That's incrementality. And prior to being exposed to this idea, I was someone who always tried to bite off more than I could chew. In fact, I still do that. The difference now is I've developed a habit of breaking things down into teeny tiny parts. And I recommend we all develop this habit, and we help students cultivate this habit as well. And when we do that, we are setting ourselves up for inevitable success in school and in life. This little hair just doesn't want to stay put. Oh my goodness. All right, do me a favor. If anything is helpful here, or if you're curious about the next do's and don'ts of inevitable success, will you please hit the like and subscribe? I would so appreciate your support of this channel. And now let's dive into the empowering questions. The first one, this will likely not surprise you given what I just said, is what's the next doable itty-bitty action you are willing to do now? Pretty powerful, actually. Hard to figure out because we judge ourselves like, well, I'd be willing to open the tab for the thing that the homework assignment I have to do. Yeah, but that's stupid. That's not enough. Yes, it is enough. The little itty-bittiest action is enough, y'all. Maybe not enough as an end, but definitely enough as a beginning. So get good at asking this question of yourself and the students you work with. Here's the next one. Would you be willing to experiment with my way first? This is a wonderful way to get people to recognize that the simple instructions are not the end, they're the beginning. So why don't you start by experimenting, play with my way first. Then after you've tried it my way, you can mess it up. You can play, then you can see what works and what doesn't for you. But I promise you'll save time if you try it my way first. And would you be willing? Are there any other questions that you can think of that help us tackle the resistance we often feel to instructions or the overwhelm we often feel with tasks? If so, I would love you to share your wisdom below in the comments. This is a community of amazing educators here, and let's share our brilliance with each other. And I'll share my brilliance with you in the next video in the series. See you there.